Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I'm here with Petrella. She's just put out an incredibly unique and original record titled Songs of Many Colors. Petrella, thank you so much for coming on today. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Austin. What about yourself?
I am doing super well. This is
Good.
100% the highlight of my day. I'm very excited to talk to you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I really am.
Oh, yeah, for real?
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
No, seriously. I got to start off and I got to say I'm loving this record a ton. It is legitimately one of the most diverse records I've heard in quite some time. And so to begin, I'd really love to hear your inspirations behind its creation.
Right. Well, because I think so far as emotions run per day,
Mhm.
you know, we wake up with different ones, you
Sure.
know. Sometimes you might be like really, feeling it from the heart and you want to talk about sweet memories.
Yeah.
Other days you might feel sexy and you want to go to the gym and work it
Sure.
out. Even though we pop an iron, we wishing we had someone
Yeah.
to pop an iron with us.
Exactly.
And so I just kind of felt like that when I was writing it. I think that I should write to an emotion as opposed to a group of people, because some get offended if you say this, but when it comes to emotion, no age, no color, no nothing, just
Exactly.
music.
I mean, you can really hear the passion and the love behind the music. So if that was the plan, it's certainly come across.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's really good. I'm happy to hear that.
Perfect. So I want to talk about the production on it. I basically want to know the process of creating it and how it all came together, and if you had any outside help putting it together, like who's the team behind the music?
Well, I'll put it like this. As old as this little girl is, it's a
Mhm.
whole bunch of teens behind me that
Sure,
brought me to
sure.
this record. You know that, right?
Oh, I'm sure of it. I'm sure of
Absolutely.
it.
But I do have right when we got ready to work on this record, I had several people that were involved in it. I have a great producer that I tell him he always lived undercover. He's now in Joshua Tree, and his name is David Scheffler.
Okay.
And David came to me for a birthday present about 25 years ago, maybe almost, yeah, about 25 years ago. And that was my first studio I went into. It was in Burbank, California. And my people who were planning on me getting into this business thought that I could start off with someone who would, treat me with kid gloves, because
Sure.
I wasn't, I was just a songwriter. I had done mostly Nashville Songwriters Associations, Los Angeles Songwriters Association, more on the, I'd say the business side.
Yeah.
But so far as the actual recording and everything, I had never had that experience in a big studio. Big studio.
Of course,
We
of
don't know
course.
about those no more.
No, no, people are recording all over the place at this
I
point.
know, I know.
Yeah.
So anyway, his name is David Scheffler.
Okay.
He still exists, and he was very much. Our process is we'll talk about what we're talking about. He knew
Sure.
I was from the country. He knows that when I went to Los Angeles Songwriters, they kind of threw my stuff every which way when I was writing, because they kept saying, you got a country tale, but you got a soul rhythm. And what
Yeah.
are we going to do with you? So some people had said, maybe you go to Broadway. I had some of the publishers who had kind of talked about that. And you get a lot of help in these associations as to where you might fit in the best. I don't know if they still do that or not, but that's what I was brought up on, where all of these music associations, and Nashville even had one. So they kind of steer you, so that you can
Sure.
make sure you get your songs to whether it's the right artist or whatever. But anyway, so that's where it began. And after I did another demo, I pitched it to Nashville. And that's when I got my first record deal. And I was pitching to an older lady. Her name was Kitty Wells.
Okay.
And she was a country icon. And they had suggested that maybe I should try and pitch to that area. And I did. And the gentleman that owned this, they said he had the largest independent record company in Nashville. He called me on the phone. who's singing this demo? I said, oh, whoa. I wanted to say, does it matter?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, but true to him calling, I told him that I couldn't afford to do nothing but sing my own demos. I was busy flying between Phoenix and Burbank, and I was wearing them out, going back and forth. But anyway, so he and we talked about it, and I had a lot of vocal experience as a young child because I'm Black, brought up in the church, sang for all the teas and all of the, all the weddings. And if somebody's getting buried, sing for the burials, this is just a tradition, So when he called me and we talked about it, I told him, well, my family was almost there for a record deal, but I wasn't sure because I still had a teenager. And at that time, she was 15. And that's a sticky age.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I'll say.
I wasn't too sure I wanted to run around with the 15-year-old at home without me,
I totally understand. I'm actually really happy you brought up that last point about sort of your upbringing. I personally cannot think of another artist who I would consider to be country soul or even something close to what I've heard from you. So, and I mean that in the best way possible. It's a huge compliment because I've loved what I've heard on this. How did you get into this genre? Like, how did you sort of find your path of making this style of music?
Right. Well, that's a good question, Austin. This is really interesting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so as you know, probably after talking to many people, you get all kind of offers, even if you sign to someplace else. But I went to talk to a gentleman who happened to be an owner of Cashbox magazine.
Okay.
And he became my mentor in this business because on this side of the business, I wasn't familiar. Now we're talking about the actual going into making records, distributing records. And so him and I decided, and my independent label decided, because after radio we had really done well in the top 100, but it seemed as though once Petrella had a whole new identity, I'll put it like that we were going to have a little bit of a hard time trying to get it placed, So they told me that I could choose country soul, country R&B, but I just wasn't quite country enough.
Okay. Like they either wanted you to go one or the other, but not meet halfway. Okay. Right. Okay. So then, right. So what did you do? What did obviously, because
I chose country soul.
Right.
And I said I would just be the first lady. It was nobody else.
Yeah.
Duh, it's very simple.
Right.
And so we just, we started building the whole story behind it. And the music was very, it was parallel with it. Right. The stories were great, but it wasn't definitely hard on country,
Sure.
So, and it was natural for me because I'm from the country. 38,000 people ain't the city.
Wow. Where are you from?
Arkansas.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
And so, I was raised up listening to country music on the radio everywhere I went. So it was a natural thing,
It feels like it was meant to be.
I like
totally
that,
meant
Austin.
to be. Yeah. I mean, listen, it sounds like you've been making music for a while. You obviously have your stories and you've gone down a ton of different paths. And here you are sitting today talking to me about how it all came about, but it kind of sounds like the dominoes were in place after a while,
I think everybody does that,
Totally.
I tell people, I can remember so many, listen, they tease me all the time because I tell them I'm a survivor in whatever you're going to put on me, and I can remember I couldn't even get a teaching job for nothing but $6,000 one time a year. So I told them I could climb telephone poles. They thought I was kidding, but everybody was going to work. for the telephone
Sure,
company.
sure.
They had an excellent job. They had never had a Black woman to climb poles before. I was climbing those poles because I needed money.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do. You got to pay the
This
bills.
is what I think it is,
Mhm.
whatever is necessary for us to go from A to B, B to C, and for the rest of our lives.
I fully agree. You got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah.
So how did this album come about? How long have you been working on it for, and to begin?
Well, I would say it's a while, and when I say that, I don't think you get what you want until you really have played with it. It's just like Play-Doh.
Oh yeah.
You aren't just going to just make it and boom. So I have been massaging it, and
Sure,
finally
sure.
when I really thought, I said, we've gone through a pandemic. People have all kinds of moods and modes about themselves that they don't even know about.
Yeah.
We've all said, whether we were Christian or not Christian, whether we pray, we don't pray, whether we should. So I say, if I put this album together and if I use all of these different elements, I said, I think I can get one album that whatever has happened to you, like I did Sweet Memories, because my daughter died 1 year, March the 17th, 2020, the first day we got locked down here. She died, and I was only
I'm so
focused
sorry
on
to hear that.
memories, right?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then when you do come up out of it, you want to party. And I say, I need a bebop, hold on.
Yeah, seriously.
You
There's
know what I'm
too many
saying?
negative times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. I can't say that I made it all in 1 week or one moment.
Sure.
And I had vocal coaches to help me in this because I don't know if you're familiar with a guy named Kevin Dorsey.
The name
He
sounds very
used to
familiar.
hang behind Michael Jackson as a backup for years.
That
Anyway,
may be
he
where
was
I've heard
one
it
of my,
from. Yeah.
yeah, he was one of my vocal teachers over at California College of Music.
Wow.
Let me tell you, I graduated.
Hey,
I wasn't
snaps
no
to you.
youngster.
There you go. Hey, you're never too old to graduate or
I
go to
know.
school or learn. So good for
I had
you.
him as a vocal coach. I had Orrin Waters, who does all the backups for Planet of the Apes.
Wow.
I had great teachers, and they were getting me ready to cut this album. And they put everything they had into me, and I put everything I could do vocally into it to make people feel comfortable. That was
That's amazing.
idea. Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, it sounds like a really cool process. Getting to talk to people and hearing about their albums or even singles that were made over the past year. Everyone has such a unique process, whether they were, going into a studio late at night when they were closed to like get away from people, or sending
Right.
files back and forth to each other. So it's really nice to hear these stories, and just the fact that you wanted to create something and you made it happen during such an insane time.
Yeah, and just like you say, it's all written before we even know it. I believe,
Right.
because otherwise, why would you take certain paths?
100%. Yeah.
That's what I think. Because after all, I mean, I always thought I was going to go back home. And we all think that. When I left home, I mean, I just go like, surely I'm going to go back home because my
Right.
dad always told me I could come back home.
Sure.
So, but your journey is so unbeknown to you,
Mm-hmm.
and you do whatever you need to do, like I say, to process your life at the best that you can process it,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gotta make yourself happy. You gotta do it.
And I was born on music, honey. My grandmama and my aunt both sung in the choir, and I used to lay down on the floor on their feet. I told them they were putting it in me,
Sure. No, I'm really happy that you brought that up, because that is the next thing I was going to ask you about, was who are your musical inspirations, and did those inspirations help to form this album?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing about it, Austin. You're young still, but for us, back in the day, as we say,
Sure.
Music, theater, all of this was a very norm for your schools, And I had taken piano lessons from a gentleman by the name of John Puckett was his name. And he was what they considered as a renowned jazz pianist,
Sure.
right? He was mean as hell. beat me to death, you know. You know,
Okay.
but him and my dad were partners. My dad was a barber, and he was John's barber. Okay.
Okay, got it.
So as life have it, he also graduated from college, yada yada yada, and ended up being my music teacher when I was in the 2nd grade.
Wow, okay.
Now, see, we're talking about journeys, right?
I know,
Yes,
it all
yes,
starts
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah. And so he told me, he says, "Oh, Bonner, you can sing. I heard you when you first was in the 1st grade." I said, "Shut up," you know. But anyway, so he had me doing a lot of Pearl Bailey,
Okay.
you know, old school stuff, you know, even then. So he was my mentor all the way through high school. We did Della Reese. We won contests. I sung in every choir. When he became the musician from my church, I was his soloist. So that's how it went with my vocal life, you know.
Sure,
And
sure.
then check this out. When I got ready to do my first single for playback,
Okay.
Lord and behold, Blues Stay Away From Me just happened to be one of the remakes that my producer was interested in doing.
Okay.
And who was one of the writers with the Delmore brothers, but another one of my dad's friends.
Can't get away from him.
No,
That's crazy.
his name was Kevin Glover. He also did, I'm sorry, Henry Glover. He also did the Peppermint Twist.
Okay,
You know?
okay.
Yeah, so this is way before your time. But anyway,
That's
so
okay.
he calls up and he tells my dad, "I understand Petrella wants to do a remake of Blues." So here the whole process began, and Henry Glover becomes my mentor. Before I go in the studio to get ready to cut this, Blues Stay Away From Me hung out on the charts for like 15, 20 weeks and got me to cover a Cashbox magazine.
Wow.
And I say from there, it was just, life was wonderful.
Good for you. That's amazing. You know what? It's funny because I ask that question almost every time, and I usually get the same canned answer of like, "Oh, I listen to whoever's on the radio right now." But I'm not gonna lie, your answer is the best answer I've ever gotten because you actually have a life of experience.
Well, it's just the truth.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Radio is very instrumental because we don't know, you know, I'm born right after television or something, you know, but you know, that wasn't the mainstay in our lives, you know. Beatboxes, you know what I'm saying?
I get it.
Radio has been very what we are, you know.
Of course.
And especially if you drive anywhere from California to Florida.
Oh yeah.
You're only going to hear country music.
It's very true. Right in the middle, you're getting
exactly.
Stuff. That's very true.
So you're gonna know some country before it's over with.
You're right. You're right. I want to hear a little bit about your process of creating music. How does it start for you? Does it start with, you know, playing the guitar? Does it start with a lyric that pops into your head? What gets you going in the creation space?
Okay, so this is when I got my birthday present for my first single. My first single was called "Living on a Shoestring."
Love it. Okay.
Okay, so just think about that. Mm-hmm. If you are anywhere young, you living on a shoestring.
You are correct. You are correct. Yep.
And then if you dream just a little bit, you'll come up with, "If I were rich, I'd build a monument in the town square with the words written in gold, saying I love you, I swear." Facts.
Love it. Love it.
Right? Mm-hmm. So you go and you get somebody who can play a guitar better than you, because I'm on the piano, right? And he says, I got a sound that'll go with that. We put a little bit of soul on. "If I were rich, I'd build a monument in the town square with the words written in gold, saying I love you, I swear, but with only a few dimes in my jeans, a poor girl's heart, and a million pipe dreams." There you are. First single.
There it is.
That's the process.
I love
so it's got to come from your life, your journey, where you are. Then it's real. It's no authentication. It's nobody else's life. is
Right.
yours. And what you hope for is that there's a whole bunch of other people that feel the same way.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to relate on some level, but also you can really tell within your music that it's real and it's coming from personal experience rather
Right,
than just making things up to sound relevant, you know?
right,
So that's
right.
what I
Yeah.
really enjoy. Uh,
Yeah.
so, sort of a two-part question here. Are you planning to tour this album? Are you trying to get back on the road or play any local shows?
Well, I'm like, whatever comes about is what I do.
Okay.
So far as agents and all of that, hey, I've done that. I've been there. So I'm more interested in just nourishing wherever I am.
Sure.
Or if people ask me to do special things for them, like I've got a friend that's in Arkansas,
Okay.
and she has Every Child is Ours. It's an organization that feeds children. And I'm very into philanthropic work,
Mhm.
So she wants me to come down in September and do a show for her. So then, I'm mainly trying to get my music via all of these new things that we have now,
Of course.
because I've never heard of you. Well, honey, if you want a distribution deal, you got to talk to Warner.
Right.
And when you talk to Warner, Warner's going to put you in debt for a little while. So, at this point in my life, I ain't interested in too much debt because I don't want to write no more living on a shoestring.
Right. Now, releasing music in today's age is, I can only imagine, a way different situation than, say, even 20 years ago at this point.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
yeah,
And I don't, I'm not a I'm not a person who really, I think everybody do their job. You do
yeah,
your job, I do my job. I
yeah,
can't do your job. And if I do, then I'm expecting for you to be able to pay for you to do that job. You know what I'm
sure.
saying? I want to pay you. I don't mind paying Warner. I pay Warner lots of money when they
Yeah,
distributed 100 Proof Woman.
yeah,
100 Proof Woman was a great album. It's in 2007. Don't misunderstand me. And they did, I assume, and when I say that, I couldn't even read what they told me they did, because
yeah,
I don't think that we have enough people to surround us as an independent artist who can really get into how all of this, the guts of
right.
being in the business. And it takes away so much from the artist. I want to entertain people. I want to sell them my story.
Yeah,
And if I'm good enough, and if the wind is blowing good, they might happen to hear me. And back to your question, which I have not forgotten, I'm not going to tour this album.
that's okay.
I'm going to work this East Central Coast.
All
And
right.
oftentimes I'll go down to Los Angeles and around in that area. But so far as me planing and deplaning and training and detraining,
Sure.
yeah, and bussing and cussing, I ain't going right there right now.
Right. No, it's a real process. It's not as simple as just getting on stage. It's a whole business of touring. It's not easy.
And you got to be careful now, Austin,
Yeah,
because until we can get everything kind of for us who have come back to work after that time,
sure.
until we can get everything like in a divine order, it's probably be best that we don't risk, because you got to have insurance, you
Yeah.
got to be able to afford it, you got to have people who, and the timing is just kind of sticky right now. So we depend on
Right.
people like you. We depend on all of these Spotify's, Humanfy, Dignify, whoever it is, to be able
I
to
agree.
get our music out to the public. And hopefully they can sit down with their favorite wine, favorite champagne, whatever, wherever, and we can stimulate and motivate,
Right.
whatever it takes. Yeah.
I agree. I think, yeah, my goal is to get as many people as possible to listen to this because they don't know
Yes.
what they're missing out on. Because it was really great, and I sincerely mean that. I'm not just saying that. Like, I had a
Well, I
great time
appreciate that.
listening, and I know that it's going to bring joy to people's faces as they listen.
Hope
It's going to
so.
put them in a good mood,
I
which
hope
people need to
so.
be in a good mood, you know?
Hey, hey, that's what we enter. Aren't we here for that?
Exactly. Exactly.
Absolutely.
So who would be a dream collaboration for you? For all the people that you've listened to in your life or even worked with, is there someone in particular that you'd love to feature on one of your songs or even like help produce in the background?
Well, I was just thinking about this the other day.
Mhm.
Now listen, if I had the best girlfriend I could pick in the whole wide world, to me, it would be Bonnie Raitt.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that would be great.
Because she says, I see my counting hole and I watch my bodies change. And she sure did give you the right answer on that one.
Sure, sure.
And this is where we are, you know.
Right.
Even if you were young and you came out of the pandemic, you're surprised at what you see because your whole scope of life is different, right?
Oh yeah, everything has changed.
So, so
Everything
I
has
love her. And if I were, always tease people. And if I were to go on the R&B side, me and Bruno Mars.
Hey, I could see that. I could see that
Yeah,
happening.
you know why? Because he tells a story, you know,
Exactly.
and it's about something that is irritating him or
Sure.
exciting him, right?
But it sounds great.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, so setting the music aside for just one moment, we are officially in the second half of 2021. So I want to know, are there any personal goals that you've set for yourself for the rest of this year?
Well, yeah, I sure have.
Okay,
I know. See, let's get the morbid out of the way so I can get that off my head.
sure.
Okay, and I usually don't talk about it, but
Okay.
I I only have the ashes of my daughter, and they're in my front closet.
Wow.
And daily I'll go by and I tell her I haven't forgotten, you know. But the time that it happened, I wasn't able to do anything. We couldn't
Sure.
leave. I couldn't.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to do that memorial for her. And I'm going to do it in Arkansas where my friends and loved ones are, you know, and her children and the whole
Good.
thing, you know. Then my second part is I'm going to do quite a few 3-hour shows that I used to
Sure.
because I've been pumping it up.
Yeah,
Getting
that's
ready.
that's not easy.
No, but you oftentimes your climate will change. And
True.
as you get older in the business, you aren't so lucky to come out and do an opening and walk away.
Right. Right.
See, as you stay in this business, a lot of stuff changes. Most people don't understand that. It's not all big stadiums come out there and whoop,
No.
whoop, and go on off the
Well,
You're
most
gonna
people
have
don't
to
last long enough to see the changes. So they're in and out in a few years and they're over it.
Yeah. So you've got to get your mindset as to where you are. And so I'm going to be doing probably more midnight. I think I got a show coming up this weekend that's from 9 to 12.
Okay.
Whew, that's 3 hours.
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
so I'm doing those. I'm going to do a lot more festivals because I really like festivals a lot.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm kind of gearing myself where you don't wait for the big, you know, whatever
Yeah.
and travel a long way. So I want to do that type of thing, you know, and meet those type of people. When you do big stages, you never see people, you never
Right.
meet people. You come in, you do your job, you get on that bus, and you're at the next place.
Out of there.
That's it. And
Yep.
that's the life of an artist.
Sure.
And you sign, you know, you do all the things. Now I don't even know if they do that anymore, but you know, that was it. So I never really got to interface. Whereas when I
Right.
do these festivals, these small festivals, the people come and talk to me,
Yeah.
you know, I get to in the clubs and things now, I get to meet people. It's just more one-on-one, you know,
Exactly. A
nothing
lot
in
more
between.
personal. Mhm.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm liking it.
Good. Good to hear. Okay, I have one more question for you. So, and this is something that I usually like to close out with. A question here is for the person that is going to discover your music for the first time, and for the person that is going to listen to it, what is an opening message that you would like to say to them?
My dad told me, if you want to know me, if you really want to know who I am, listen to my music. It tells you my whole life story.
Yeah,
And I promise you that it's going to be something in there that's going to tell your story.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Petrella, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time out of your day. This is no joke been one of my favorite interviews I've done so far. For everyone else out there, Songs of Many Colors is out give it a listen. Check out the rest of her music. It's going to bring some serious happiness into your life. So thank you so much again for your time.
Okay.
And yeah, I really hope to speak soon. We'll have this finished very soon.
Okay. All right. Well,
Awesome.
listen, Austin, just keep on keeping on, honey, and
You
just keep
too.
that smile and just keep talking about music, okay? No
That's
matter what you do,
what the
keep,
sign says.
but it say
We
we
talk
talk about
about
music.
That's what you got to do.
I love it. Thank you
Awesome.
so much for having me.
You're very welcome. I hope you have a
Okay.
great rest of your day, and we'll speak soon.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.